And this is why my entire book is about the political economy of fear. That it's also, the fact that there is a secular state that is constantly producing fear. I'm not saying that they don't fear us, because they should fear us, because criminals are always afraid, so that's fine. And it's clear. But it's that they also maintain a specific amount of fear to tell others, like, listen, we fear them. And women are a source of threat and fear. And therefore, they are also producing us as feared others. And women's bodies and women's life and women in spaces, public spaces, private spaces, are feared others. So if we're in Jerusalem here, and most of child arrest is today happening at home, which means they turned our homes into prisons, that tells you what kind of knowledge we need to develop in order to understand the complexity of women activism. So activism is not in the public space, but the private space became a public space whereby women are resisting oppression, but the resistance of oppression is taking other kinds of form.
Around Israel's everyday terrorism, that is clear in various ways and aesthetically clear. For Aida, to live meant to keep on existing, as Fanon is saying. Every day is a victory. The hidden violence against Aida's existence can also be noticed in a new proposed law, and just look what we have here. Clearly, Israel to stop issuing birth certificates to children of foreigners. And guess who are the foreigners? Palestinians in Jerusalem. So how this aesthetics of violence and how the visual depictions instill fear, spreading the terror inside Jerusalem. I'm going to show you here what happens during Sunday 17th in May 2015. Of course, it's every year on Jerusalem Day. Over 30,000 to 40,000 young religious and nationalist Israeli Jews rampage the old city. And those who have visited me would have seen it from the window of my house, chanting "Death to Arabs, Muhammad is dead," and other racist slogans. So let us see together. During the same day, and think about Palestinians like Aida, like myself, like others, trying to walk in the old cities, seeing all this. During that day, Prime Minister Netanyahu vows city won't be divided again, and Jerusalem, and I quote, only ever the capital of the Jews. Through the performativity, this theatrical characteristics of the parades in the old city. And there are parades every Monday and Thursday on other issues, of course, with the flags of the songs and the music and all of it carries racist statement. What you see in the parade, the division is made more clear. The Palestinians are obliged to close their stores, as you have seen on the day, to be confined to their homes, or more precisely, imprisoned in their own homes. Their own streets pose danger to them while these parades take place, and they are also obliged to listen to the songs, the calls, and so on. They are obliged to reduce their rights, as the scenery in their streets are calling for their death. It's another form of settler colonialism, and this is the aesthetics inscribed over our spaces and our places. My last example is Muhammad and his friends. Comes from a recent observation that Israel is shooting children in their eyes. Muhammad is a 5-year-old who was leaving his school bus, running home, and I quote, this is what he was telling me when I asked him, "Shu sar Muhammad?" "I was very hungry and I ran home, but the soldiers feared me because I was Russian and they shot me in the eyes." So I said, "What will you do?" He said, "Khalas, I don't want to be hungry again." Now here, disability and the occupation of the senses is not a medical biological condition, but rather a politically induced condition. It is the disability resulting from the occupation of senses, and it's intrinsic to the function of the colonial war regime. The willful blinding of Palestinian children clearly evidences what Clark is calling the Israeli state's biopolitical right to maim, not only right to kill, but right to maim. The attack on the Palestinian senses is being observed with the invasion of Palestinian spaces, not only with their police and military, or with their rifles, jeeps, and guns, and not only with their parades, but also the bad smell, the skunk water they spray over Palestinian spaces, homes, clinics, school, and playground, a thing that turns our spaces and the colonized spaces into filthy, into bathroom smell spaces. This smell stays for over a week to remind us, to remind the colonized, and to remind the colonizer of their unending and exceeding omnipotency and cruelty. The occupation of senses to me might mean that children's eyes and senses of the genocidal truth threaten Israel, and therefore Israel prefers Palestinian maim as it fears their senses, keeping them in slow genocide. This slow genocide reflected in the occupation of senses, in the aesthetics of power, in the inscription of power over the spaces, is embedded in the Zionists will not let die and will not make die settler colonial policy. So as Poirot will explain, it is not only the right to kill, but the right to maim being exercised as the domain of sovereignty.